News.
International affairs commentator Tom Gross joins me in studio along with I24 News Middle East correspondent Emily Rose. Great to have you both with us. Tom, we'll get you to kick us off. Now, the British Royal House has in the past restricted or said no to any kind of official visit by the royal family to Israel because of disputes over territory. So what's changed?
Well, it's a recognition that Israel is coming in from the cold, so to speak. But I think it's a bit disingenuous of the royal family to say they've avoided visiting Israel because of political disputes. The Queen has visited, she visited more than 130 countries on more than 250 official visits. She's been to Iran, Saudi Arabia, Libya. She's embraced President Assad in London. So there's been plenty of politicization of visits. Prince Charles, for example, has been to Kosovo twice. So I think, in a way, there's been a kind of unofficial boycott only of Israel. In a way, it's a kind of pre-BDS.
All right. So then what do you believe has changed and why have they chosen Prince William as the representative?
Well, I think Israel's place in the Middle East and the wider world has been cemented in the last few years. There's increasingly warm ties between Israel and various Gulf Arab states, even if they don't officially have relations. Prime Minister Netanyahu has been all over the world in the last year, Latin America, Africa, Australia, Singapore, Muslim states like Kazakhstan, and so on. So I think it's also a recognition by the British Foreign Office, which is the ones that decide where a member of the royal family goes, that it's time for a royal to visit Israel. And I think it could also be connected to Brexit. Britain is looking to cement new relations, warm relations with countries, and they see the Israeli economy doing quite well in various sectors, high-tech and others.
Right.
So I think that's the reason.
OK, and Emily, what do we know so far about who Prince William's expected to meet with while he's here?
Well, we know that he's going to visit with a delegation for Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, and this has been a very exciting day in Palestinian media for this visit. No member from the royal family has previously visited the Palestinian territories. So actually it was top story, as was mentioned in the package. The top headline was that Prince William would visit the, quote, occupied Palestinian territories.
Right.
That was highlighted as part of the announcement. It was later removed and replaced, but we did see that excitement came through in the Palestinian media. They're very excited about this visit.
And talk us through the fact that they mentioned the occupied territories. What does that point to?
Well, it could be an interesting play here. We know that this comes in the backdrop of a diplomatic spat and divide between the Palestinian Authority and the United States, and it's really interesting here to see the juxtaposition. As we saw earlier, maybe just about a month back, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence came to visit, and he was boycotted by the Palestinians, and now we see this kind of warm welcome, so we almost see the opposite reaction coming from both sides.
Right. Now, we know, of course, Tom, there's a separation between the state, or rather, you know, what the government says and how they conduct their business and what the royal family does. But we know that Great Britain is largely responsible for paving the way for the Jewish state via the Balfour Declaration. Of course, that's something the Palestinians hugely criticise the UK for. What's the royal family's take on the Palestinian gripes in that respect, or don't they have a political stance at all?
Well, they don't officially have a political stance, and we don't know what that stance is. And I should add to what I said earlier, that it's not royal family members themselves that have boycotted Israel, and indeed they have connections, because the mother of Prince Philip, the husband of the Queen, is buried in Jerusalem on the Mount of Olives, and she was indeed awarded the status of righteous Gentile by Yad Vashem for sheltering a Jewish family in Greece during the Holocaust. So on a private, unofficial visit by Prince Charles to Shimon Peres's funeral 2 years ago, he then went quickly to his grandmother's grave in Jerusalem before returning to Britain. So I don't think it's the British royals themselves that have anything against Israel. It reflects the Foreign Office position, and indeed the words occupied territories that you referred to are the official Foreign Office terminology, which they still apply to, for example, Gaza, even though Israel left Gaza more than a decade ago.
All right. Well, then talking about perhaps the friendship in reverse, and I use that word because the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, said this is going to contribute to strengthening the bonds of friendship. So what bond and what friendship is he referring to?
Well, Palestinian Executive Committee member Hanan Ashwari put out an official notice today saying that they were going to strengthen cultural bonds. That was going to be the focus of the visit, not political bonds. Of course, we know that perhaps this does speak to some sort of political effort. We know that Mahmoud Abbas has been on a sort of tour recently, trying to shore up support from Europe. He was at the European Union. He's been visiting with European leaders, also with the Indian foreign leaders. So we know that he's been trying to get support internationally in lieu and in lack of support from the United States, and perhaps this could be another effort to shore up that support over there.
All right, okay, so if there is no, I suppose, political agenda here because there's a separation with the royal family, what is Prince William and the royal family hoping to achieve here?
Well, I think there are two things. First of all, they're ticking boxes because the Queen, at age 91, is now probably too old to visit, but they have been criticised by many people and friends of Israel in the United Kingdom for never visiting Israel. So I think they're making up for that as a new generation of diplomats in the Foreign Office that are aware it's high time they came. But I imagine that it's also to cement economic ties. So I would speculate that Prince William may make a visit to one of Israel's universities, I don't know, the Weizmann Institute or something. He may see some high-tech companies that collaborate with the United Kingdom. And, you know, in a way, the British royal family are also trade ambassadors for the United Kingdom, which becomes more important in the post-Brexit era.
All right, Emily, close us out. What's Israel's attachment to the royal family? Is there one?
Well, ironically, and sort of maybe this also stands in juxtaposition to what we saw with Trump and the Jerusalem announcement, we didn't see this make a big splash in the Israeli media today. It wasn't covered drastically. It wasn't really the top story, so...
All right, well, I'm sure there'll be some fanfare, and it's very exciting, at least for an Australian like me, to have Prince William here in Israel.
Even more if he brings his wife or if Harry and Meghan come.
Absolutely right. Tom Groves, Emily Rose, thank you for that insight. All right, coming up here on...